So currently, as it stands, looking back at January of this year, 2015, how all assets have performed, strangely enough, it appears that gold and silver are at the top of the list. Even though days ago, at the end of options expiration, which is typical nowadays that they slam the price of gold and silver, and they were slammed. I think silver ended $1 down, gold was like $25 or $28 down. And then, of course, now here we are a few days, whatever, 3 days later, and they're already bouncing back up. Gold's practically where it left off. Silver's not quite where it left off, but the rebound was almost instant. So that's the month of January compared to other assets. That's interesting. And they slammed the hell out of them. So if you lived in one of these other countries that are experiencing a currency crisis right now, and there's at least notable 5 or 6 countries that have had currency devaluations of epic proportions. And I don't mean that like they devalued it. I'm talking they're waking up and, oh my God, what's happened to our currency? That kind of thing. So if you lived in one of those countries, or lived, as in recently, right now, etc., doesn't matter, and you had gold and silver in your possession, the value of said gold and silver in your possession would have absolutely skyrocketed in price based on your dollar being devalued. Whether your country did it on purpose or not, most likely not. It's our, the USA is the one causing all these problems. Hate to break that news to anybody that doesn't know that. We're the cause of all these issues. Because when we want to destroy our dollar, we got to make sure everyone's taken down with us. So why not get them started first? It's a master plan, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of how you'd want to do it if you had the choice. So, at any rate, what other country sets the price of gold and silver? Oh, that's America too. Oh, so you can see where it's real easy to just keep it steady at whatever price you want. They tried to keep it at $1,200 for gold, fighting tooth and nail to keep it there, and it just kept breaking past that $1,200 mark. And now we're at the $1,300 mark, and they are fighting furiously to keep gold at $1,300, below $1,300 if possible. And it's already creeping right back up after this major slam that just took place. Oh, it was options expiration, and it was the Federal Reserve, Open Market Committee speech, whatever. And a lot of times those things don't do too good for gold and silver. Well, they both happen to be around at the same time, so double whammy. Yeah, okay, whatever. Call it what you want. Blatant, outright manipulation. But it still goes to show you that even with all that happening, gold and silver are trying desperately to rebound viciously, and they are. Right in the face of that. And again, if you lived in one of these other countries that experienced currency collapse recently, matter of fact, recently or not doesn't matter, but we're talking about right now, so let's keep things current. So, in recent times, you've had a country like Russia and what was the other one right next door to them? Can't even think of it. Both of their rubles, went down 40% in value. That would be like your gold and silver almost doubling in value. Think about that. One day, you look at the price, you've been paying all these years, whatever, you've acquired a bunch of gold and silver. You look at the market price today, of course you're looking at the United States market price. Even converted into your currency, whatever it equals, it's normal, everything's fine. Then all of a sudden, some little event happens, and literally this happened to the Russian people overnight. All of a sudden their currency gets whacked down 20%, 30%, 40%. Oh my God. If you had gold and silver over in Russia, you wouldn't be too concerned at all. As a matter of fact, you would say, holy crap, my gold and silver just made me a small fortune. Well, at the same time, my currency is being devalued. And again, people say, sometimes will tell you, well, that's a good thing when currency is devalued. And you try to argue, well, how in the hell is that a good thing that a country's currency is devalued? That means the dollar's weaker, right? And they'll tell you, yes, but the only time that affects you is on things that you may import from other countries. So if your dollar is being devalued, anything you import is going to be more expensive. But anything locally inside the country, prices just went down for you. Oh, really? Not necessarily prices went down, by the way. It's that they didn't really appear to move. So your dollar got devalued, but, you know, if it's $3 for a case of eggs and your dollar gets devalued, well, it's still $3 for a case of eggs because that person who makes the, you know, the farmer or whatever gets those eggs, his whole life has been devalued as well because he lives in your country too. So everything kind of stays the same. And the benefit, they say, is, well, you now can export goods overseas out of your country and become way more competitive than you used to be, because now your dollar's worth less, therefore the goods you're selling are worth less. Now you can compete with the world. Oh, that's a good thing. That's what they're going to tell you. But at the same time, again, if they pull this off the way they will, it will appear that that is a good thing. They're going to make it look like it's a good thing. So here's again, the good news is if you had gold and silver, none of this matters at all. Not even a tiny bit. It doesn't matter at all. Your currency value of your precious metals just went up through the roof. Any of those half a dozen countries that are in trouble right now, you can add Venezuela, you could add Argentina, Russia, there's about 4 or 5 others. Major currency problems right now. You could throw Greece into the mix, absolutely. They're leaving the euro and all that. And their currency took a whack immediately, of course, as soon as they tried to pull that trigger. The drachma or whatever. So, I also read that the Greece people experiencing this wild ride of currencies and this and that, some of them were smart enough to have gold and silver. Others are figuring it out right now. Are realizing right now, as this crisis is happening in Greece, I need to get my hands on precious metals. And they're doing so with whatever they've scraped up. And the funny thing is, I said that's exactly what would happen during these types of crises. I said you're going to find people didn't know anything about it. Gold, silver, what is that? You know, who cares? Isn't that jewelry? You know, all of a sudden realizing how important it is. And that's when they, and again, when they realize how important it is, it's when it's too late. Is when it is, the problem has already occurred. That's why they're finding out in the first place. Because their problem just hit them in the face, and now, like most human beings, not looking out into the future, oh, I just stepped on something that poked my foot. What is it? Well, if you would have put your head up the whole time you were walking, instead of looking at your damn phone, you would have seen there's a whole strip of these, you know, nails or whatever on the ground in front of you. But we don't do that. We live in the moment right now. Therefore, these people are going to say, I need some gold and silver. Yes, it's very expensive now over here in Greece. It's very expensive. But I see what happened, and I don't care. I'm going to get it anyways. So that's the key. People are going to say, I'm going to get it anyways because I don't want this to get any worse, which is just like a stock market crash. Markets start crashing, what do people do? Get me out now. I'm going to take a loss, but if I stay in here, I'm going to take a beating. I got to get out now, sell, 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 sell. Same thing happens. And then all of a sudden, oh, we tried to sell. Didn't have enough buyers today, so you're going to have to try again tomorrow. You know, try to get stopped out or whatever. Stops triggered if you're playing futures contracts, and it doesn't matter because there were no buyers, so the price keeps going down, and while you sit there watch your contract getting flushed down the toilet. Again, if you had gold and silver during that time, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is terrible. The currency's devaluing. Oh my God, everyone's out panicking in the markets, as in the supermarkets, stores. Like they said in Russia, people are out buying stuff that they felt like they would need before the dollar over there's, devalued even worse. So people went on a buying spree. Not even necessarily for food either. That was the interesting thing. They just went out buying stuff to say, I've got to have something that this money paid for is better than nothing, because at least it's some kind of asset. It holds value, even if it's a television, is what they were thinking. So they did it. Again, if they had gold and silver, they wouldn't have had to run out and panic, let me go buy whatever. Okay. No, they would sit there and say, oh my God, look at the price of my gold and silver today. This is fantastic. And again, I bet people even in that situation would say, well, my dollar's devaluing right in front of my face. I'm not going to go out and buy TVs and games, and I'm going to go buy some more gold and silver, even though it's going to cost me more right now because of what just happened last night with our currency. I've already got some gold and silver, but damn, this happened overnight and scared the hell out of me. I'm going to get some more immediately before our dollar gets devalued even worse. And if people did that right when that happened, they would have done all right, because the ruble, in this case, went down even more afterwards. So, I mean, what more do people need to see to understand that gold and silver are your financial saviors? Plain and simple. Gold and silver are going to save you. Like I said, it will save your financial livelihood when the time comes. And again, we're the ones in America that are actually setting the price. So the whole world, the currency wars and the currency problems, America, no, we're fine. So let's look at this. Let's look at Venezuela, Russia, Argentina, to name a few, Greece. And you forget Greece. Greece is so, they gutted Greece. Let's just leave Greece out of this one. That poor guys. I don't want to bring them in anything else. If you look at their debt, now that was interesting. My suction cup failed. If you look at their debt, and you look at America's debt, and yes, I'm talking about the $18 trillion we have, the fact that we're spending like at least 25% more on our yearly budget in this country, more than we pull in, 25% more roughly. And you look at these other countries, they don't do that. They don't have that kind of debt. They don't have that enormous amount. Yet our currency currently is absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong with it. It's stable as hell. It's over. The dollar index is like 90, 91, 92. We haven't seen numbers like that in God knows how long. Used to hover 75, 80 sometimes. We're at 90 dollar index. Oh man, strong dollar. We don't experience any of those problems, yet we have the most debt of the world. How could that be possible? It's only possible if you control everything. If you control the price of other people's currencies, if you control the price of what I like to call the thermometers of the world, the financial system, such as gold and silver, commodities, then you can control that. And by chance, our country, world's reserve currency, our country sets the price on all these commodities, gold, silver, all commodities in our country. Stock market, currency, FX, all that, it's a creation of Wall Street. We control all of that right here. So is it any shocker that our country appears on the surface to be doing just fine? Yet we know it's not, and our powers that be know it's not, but they're going to make sure the rest of the world is in collapse phase before we enter collapse phase, so that we can all joyfully enter this collapse phase and then decide we need a new world order, we need something new. Bill Gates now is out doing his rounds. Microsoft CEO Bill Gates, we need a new world order. We really need a new world order. Bill Gates, a young kid in his garage messing around with the personal computer, invented the personal computer, basically, Microsoft software. How does he go from that to New World Order elitist? Well, he was a multi-billionaire, of course, and he started hanging around the other billionaires, and somehow they rubbed off on him. He's all giddy about going to these poor countries, as they say, and get your free vaccines, get your vaccination shots. Like I said, over many countries in Africa have vocally said, "Oh, the Red Cross shots, no, we don't mess with that anymore. We know that they're basically poisoning us, giving us the stuff they're supposed to be curing us. We don't do those anymore." Now, you're not going to hear that in the mainstream media, but I've already seen it, and I've already heard them talk about it, and I've even seen someone contact me when I was doing a video the other day, or maybe a month or two, whatever ago it was, tell me, "Hey, you were talking about the Red Cross. By the way, they know here that they do that, and they don't get shots." And this person, I think, was from South Africa. So, anyways, gold and silver, it's going to be the shining star, and even in this country where we set the price is going to be, because we're not going to be setting the price in the future. Take care.